back with another video. Can you hear? It sounds like ASMR. Yo, check it. Yo, check out a melody. Come back with felonies, killer with melody. Understand when I kill a melodies, kill a melody. Vocalities and the melodies.
Like, subscribe, share if you want to hear more of that rap shit.
Feeling valid mentalities.
Gonna start his own video.
Spill it, we grilling, he spit it. We still instilling this game, and spilling this pain, he spit it. Right? I can rap, bro. That guy was really good. He mean, kind of...
Mills. He's talking about Mills.
Yeah, Mills. Makes you want to quit rap. Like, I don't want to rap.
Yeah, like, I always say
I can't
that,
do what he's doing.
Listen, I don't know what we talking in this video.
I'll tell you with him.
But I was saying about when I listen to rap and I be hearing people rap, I be trying, like when I was younger, I used to try to write it.
When you hear a beat, right?
I used to try to write it down. I'm like, man, I can rap.
Yeah.
This dude can rap. I start writing stuff down. I'm like,
I can't. You just got Yeah.
I'm throwing out there. I'm like, bro, I can't even put 5 words together.
This is what I figured out too. It takes a very long time to get good at that. So you write. That dude's got loose leaf notebooks for days somewhere.
It's like when
so he can just pull it out whenever he wants.
Finesse 2 times, which I don't know if you know, but he did when he got out of jail. He walked around with his backpack and it had like this much notepaper. Dude. But he still has it. He still has it in his backpack. This much notepaper of all the raps he wrote while he was in jail.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So it was like, damn.
But what it becomes a memory reflex, what I like to call it. So I can recall things I wrote and just
like Jay don't write.
Yeah.
Wayne say he don't write.
Because he's already written it and remembers it. It's a good memory.
That's the crazy part. But he says even when he does his songs, he has them like, I forgot what he says he does. I think he has like a teleprompter or something because he'll forget the words. Because you have to, like, I don't know.
Well, you could do filler too. So like, if you say like, come back, getting my. I also have a different cadence too. So when I'm rapping, it pulls me into that person that I was when I was rapping, and then I can remember things. So I can do filler. So if I say like, killing my enemies with. I have felonies, killing my enemies with tendencies to, right? But then I can add the filler into the word that I don't remember because I don't remember the whole thing. So I'll add a filler in there like, due to this facts that you can't be whack, I come back with tracks. And then I'll go back to my written that I remember.
It's just how you write a whole song like that.
That's like too much, dude.
A song with a hook?
I don't have the time, right? And for you to, and let's say you do everything Millie did, right? And then nobody notices it, and then you just wait. There's so much in your life.
Not a YouTube rap. You spend your whole life.
We're gonna have another guest named Chris.
Are you trying to say that he's that person?
He's a rapper, and so it didn't.
That was like subliminal. It's a subliminal shot.
Didn't work out.
You can do this your whole life and write raps, and then we're gonna have a special guest.
We used to go to, bro. Again, living 100 lives. You already told you a couple podcasts ago, or one of the other episodes that I used to do the acting thing. I also did the hip hop, breakdancing, and rap thing. So we go to battles, and I would go to. We would do freestyle battles. We started in school a little bit with a little freestyle battle, but then we started getting invited to little competitions. And competition rap was different than what we were writing and the songs we were trying to make. Because you got to find a way to diss them and diss you and diss like and.
Well, we had it. 106 in Park had a
pain in the ass, bro.
Battle
but
rap.
it was fun. But it was a part of my life. That and breakdancing. And being like pop locking it, doing all this shit. I was very lanky and not really good, but I could flip. Martial arts wise, I could flip. So I would add that in and then do a backflip off a wall kind of thing, and then do like the
split.
Damn. Like I'm sitting. Imagine if you're like, okay, you did good there. Watch this, and you start doing like some footwork.
You've seen it before. Everybody saw. What was that
like
movie?
Step It Up.
Was it Step It Up?
No, I don't know.
The one where they battled?
No. There's another one.
It was one with Chris Brown or something. Like they like battling, like, you think you got me? I'm gonna show you right now, boy.
Like, this move right here? Oh, what about this?
Yogo. And they're like, okay, I'm gonna show you. Bring it to me.
I threw my breath at you. It's so stupid.
I don't know what we started this video.
Anyway,
about,
so the video is gonna be about.
Hope you like the beginning.
Yeah, that was a good one. The video is gonna be about you are not the CEO, but it doesn't mean you can't think like the CEO.
Think like the CEO.
So what we don't talk a lot about, we sprinkle it here or there on the podcast about what we do for a living, right?
Okay.
We're plumbers. We've been in the plumbing industry for about 18 years, what we counted. He was in there about a year and a half before I got in. I came to Elite, and then we moved parallel careers, but he was always, he's the guy who's teaching me how to do the shit. But I wasn't like the things that you were teaching me wasn't just the in and outs on how to do the job. It was how you move. It was how you operate, how you speak to the customer, how you speak to the boss, how you. I'm watching that. When you hit the camera, when you backed up and hit the big ass camera, and Bobby was like, "What the heck you doing? This is gonna be $1 million, right?" How you handled that situation taught me a lot, because you didn't go, "I didn't do it. It was an accident. This is bullshit. I'm mad," and screaming and fighting, which could have got you fired. You went, "All right, well, it shit happens." I don't know if it was $18 million, but whatever, it happens. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta exaggerate, but you even made him laugh while he's giving you a punishment. You know what I mean? Like, it's how you handle it. And you handled him differently than you handled Kurt. You handled Kurt differently than you handled George. You handled George differently than you handled, what's the guy's name we were talking about the other day who was at Primerica? Your boy who was like mad smooth, the Indian dude, Shaq. So you handled him differently. And the way you learned was also different. So there was times when you shut the fuck up and listened. And there was times when you added to the conversation if there was something interesting to talk about. And you wouldn't just jump into talking about cars because this guy wants to talk about cars. You would jump into the conversation if you had something to add to the conversation.
Yeah, you want to listen.
Right? So thinking like a CEO, I think we got as far as we have because we're not just the worker bee. We're not just the worker. We add more to the company, more to the business. And this goes with any field that you're in, any job that you have or whatever. You can just be the worker. You can't just be the guy flipping burgers.
McDonald's. I agree. I mean, that's the whole point of this conversation that we had before was that, like I think, again, this goes back to the video we just shot too about the gurus and about 10X and about even like Greg Cardone, which I'm not bringing him up because I think he's a great business.
It also goes back to my video game.
But him saying about 400,000, you need to make 400,000 for you to be like he doesn't understand how you're a man and you don't make 400,000.
Yeah. Versus
right? Well, like that's majority of society, right? There's only like 1% that make 400,000, right? So
it's a goal of mine. But
you're like, it's just not possible, right? Somebody working at McDonald's is not aiming for 400,000.
The manager doesn't make.
Even the manager, the franchisee doesn't make.
Well, this is what I want to tell you. Like, I worked, one of my first jobs I ever had, it was whenever McDonald's had the green shirts, right? Back in the day. Right. And one of my first jobs was McDonald's. I worked there for maybe 6 months. My boy Zeke and my boy Rob worked there. We were just getting high, talking shit, and being fucking silly. But me and Rob had one of the fastest drive times in Florida. Like, that's how good we were at the thing. When we were focused on what we wanted to do, we had to get it. And we perfected it to the point where I was like, damn. But I recognized something. In that job, first off, the owner was not the owner, but the person the franchisee was stealing money from the safe anyway. So that person got fired. Somebody else came back and took his place, was a kid that I knew from high school. Who was younger than me. I used to mentor, by the way. But when I got to talk to him to find out how much money he was making, it wasn't much more than me.
Oh yeah, the managers, they don't make much more.
And I'm like, wait a second. This whole goal of me getting good at this is to become the manager. That's the goal. I have to take a test.
Yeah, but the manager's not far from you. But that's how it is in every
right. And I'm like, wait a second, hold on. So then
especially
how do I become a franchisee, right? Like,
especially in a business like that you don't create money.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of just work a system. You work a system, so the system is made. You can plug people to put the burgers, plug people to hit the register, plug people to do this, right? You could put anybody there pretty much. Right. You don't have to go out and sell the burger. Right. If it was somebody selling the burger, then the manager could make more money because the person selling the burger would sell more burgers than need to be sold. Right. And you would make more money because he sold more money. So in those situations you can. But as what we're talking about too is also that in order for you to be if you're gonna do anything, do it well. Mm-hmm. So in order for you to be good, you have to automatically change your mindset. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about thinking like a CEO, it's thinking like you own the business. You
own it, yeah.
Right? Because you really do. Brian Tracy said another thing too. He was like,
if you act like you own the business.
Yeah, he acted like he said you're the owner of your own business. Right.
I am my own business.
You are your own brand. Like I'm my brand. Like when I go somewhere, I say Moses. This is my brand. I'm walking around as my brand. That's why even in the public or out amongst people, I don't change who I am, and I stick to what I stand for and all this because that's my brand.
Yeah.
Right. I'm my own brand. Like represent my family. I represent my wife. I represent my son.
I represent my job.
Everybody that knows
even
me
outside of work.
You know what I mean? If they go back to somebody I know and be like, dang, bro, Mo was acting weird,
crazy.
That's my brand. Like I'm tearing up my own brand. So even when I go to work, if you go to work for somebody, you're your brand. If you're James Watkins and you go to work for somebody, make sure James Watkins is the best of the best.
Greatest, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we're talking about thinking like a CEO. And you might end up just being a worker.
Right. So
that's the whole
what I was going to
conversation.
jump to too. First off, as the worker, just as the regular worker, not as like the elite worker. Just when you think about management or you think about people above you, right? And it's so easy to say as the worker bee or as the guy getting the jobs done that, well, they're in the AC ain't doing shit. They're out there not really.
You think that they don't do nothing.
You're thinking that they never got worked as hard as you, or they never got.
The mentality now is to think like
their
that
mentality is just different than yours. That's the reason why they're in the position that they're in.
Well, they probably did what you did already.
Yeah, right. But like I could say there's some of the people that I worked for or work for currently that I'm better than at this job. That's for sure. When it comes to putting hands to pipe, I have more experience than them. They've even owned their own company.
But that's not the business.
But that's not exactly. We're talking about when you start thinking outside the box of the business of the plumbing business, it's different because now you start thinking like a CEO.
Correct.
You say
just like Mr. Lynch, like I'm gonna say people's name, but the owners,
owner
right?
Lindstrom, yeah.
You know, they probably weren't never to do anything with plumbing.
Right.
That doesn't mean they can't start a plumbing company.
Right.
That doesn't mean they can't hire plumbers.
100%.
And they can't hire plumbing managers.
Right.
And do plumbing work.
My boss said to me, Frank said to me, he said, "Hey, listen," he goes, "Yeah, you're a really good plumber, dude." He goes, "That's what I'm good at. I'm good at hiring good plumbers." Mm-hmm. And that was like, bink. Oh, I see. You got the guy to do the thing. You don't got to do the thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, you know what I mean? But it's so easy for somebody like that's trying to hold the company on his back. I'm important in that company. Am I replaceable? Probably. But I'm important in that company. I try to make myself again, like you said, a brand. It's gonna be. I want to make it a bad business decision to get rid of me.
I just don't think I would do bad at any business. I just think I'm just not that type of guy. If I'm gonna go and spend time and give some company 8 hours of my time, I'm gonna learn something from it, or I'm just gonna work so good that they gotta acknowledge me at some point.
I'm undeniable.
Right? And if they don't, then I'll move on. But I just can't do shit half-ass.
But this is what I agree with that.
So that's another thing. Like I don't want to do half-ass. I won't even
on
attempt
anything
to do it.
That's my paperwork.
Yeah, I won't even attempt to do it if I'm gonna do it half-ass.
That's my drive time. That's my safety in driving. and that's not even. We're not even talking about the work yet. I don't do anything half-assed. This is what they said in John Wick 2, and I always said this before this movie came out, and I think I said it on the podcast, what you do in anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
Right? If you look at my truck, I can take pictures for you one time. Look at my truck is fucking gorgeous. Like you look in there and be like, you can eat off the floor of the damn shit. I just keep my truck that way. I'm organized like a motherfucker because that's how my brain works. When you look at somebody's truck, you can kind of see how their brain works a little bit and see how they're compartmentalizing and how they're, like I was talking to you guys before about mental inventory. Like I already done the mental inventory. I just had to present that on my truck. My house, clean, neat, nice, things where I want it. Every now and then there's some clothes on the floor, but we can pick that shit up. I try to keep that going in everything I do. I'm not going to say I'm complete perfectionist, but like you said, I'm not half-assing anything. I don't take the trash out and don't put it back.
But that's what I'm saying, and that's what we're talking about as far as when you go to a business and you're gonna work, you might as well do your best, right? Do the best that you can do, because to do it half-ass, you're not gonna gain anything from doing it half-ass, right? You're not gonna gain any type of acknowledgement, any type of recognition. Nobody pays you more for being half-ass. If you're doing more than you can, you might not even get paid more for doing that, right? If you're the best. But that could be a problem with the business itself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh, I should be paid more than this guy. And like, listen, bro, the structures are the structures. If you go into it with that mentality, then it's gonna be a hard time for you working anywhere, doing anything, right? If you're working at Dollar Tree and you're mad that this and that, then don't work at Dollar Tree. No. I don't know what to tell you.
It could be a setup that you don't like, right? Like I worked for BJ's. There was a setup there, Berkeley and Jensen. There was a setup there I didn't like. I didn't like how they structured things and where they were going with it, and how in order for me to get to high in that structure, which I was getting ready to, it wasn't for me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna part ways. It's no big deal.
And then like I said, the whole thing was like, everybody wants. This is what goes back to the guru thing. That's why gurus are so popular now. Everybody wants to be the CEO. They want to be the boss, right? Boss, bitch, boss,
boss,
right? Yeah. They want to be the head guy, the honcho, right? Everybody wants to be that. They want to be the multi-millionaire, the CEO, all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
For the majority of people, that's just not life. That's just not life for most people. You need workers. There's no way to
Somebody needs to build the buildings, bro.
But you need to be the best.
Yeah.
Like do the best that you can. At least you have that in your like
repertoire, your tool belt.
Your tool belt is that you do the best. You're the best at doing this, right?
People call.
I seen people making money. I just seen a video about a guy who works in a copper mine, 12 hours. 3 days or something, makes like $180,000 in Vegas. It made me think about like, damn, do I want to work in a copper mine? Make $180,000 working 3 days?
That's a dangerous job.
A week? It is dangerous. You got to put that in consideration too. But I'm saying like, if you're looking at money, then you know what I mean. But go ahead and you can make money doing a lot of different things.
Yeah,
some things are gonna be unsafe, and some things are gonna be real dangerous, and some things are gonna be less, and you probably make more doing some less dangerous things.
I agree.
Like selling something is probably your best bet.
It's less dangerous.
To unlimited freedom, right? Because unlimited money, because you can sell whatever you sell.
But I'll say this too, and a lot of the stuff we were talking about, what I didn't get to say is you do sell yourself. Like, remember, somebody's always buying and selling. I'm selling my products that I'm selling is me. If I go to Lindstrom, or if I go to Kyle, or if I go to other companies, I'm selling me. This is what I do. This is what I offer. This is my experience level. This is where I'm at. And I could tell you who's on my level and who's not on my level, and a lot aren't. But I could also flip that into my own business. To a customer, I'm selling me. You can hire anybody to do this job. Some prices will be higher, some prices will be lower. I'm selling me. Even when I'm working at the company I'm working at right now with a bunch of people, I'm selling it to management. I'm selling it to my boss. I'm selling it to my boss's boss. I'm selling it to the customer. Lindstrom Plumbing is a certain brand, but everybody who goes in there doesn't do exactly how I do it. I don't talk to the customer. They don't have a relationship with them the way I do, right? They have their own relationship, their own product they're pushing, which is themselves. That's the best way to do your business.
That's the best route. So, and you could do that, and then you might not be you know what I mean? Like everybody wants to. All these books are usually like from the worker to the corner office, right, or to the CEO. Yeah. That's not everybody's life, and I don't have no problem. I think you should learn to be okay with how your life is. Yeah. Don't have any regrets. Be grateful, and sometimes you might not be the CEO type.
This is the part of the game, though, that can get you never broke. You're never going to be without money.
Just work,
because this is the
top 20%.
This is kind of high level we're talking about here, because there are people who just come to work, do the job, clock in, clock out, they're done. They don't want to come back. They don't want to think about it.
But when the bad times come, they're the first to get fired.
Yeah, they're the first to go. When I started getting really good at this is when I started taking my off time and doing it. When I started doing things I'm not getting paid for. Like, people weren't paying me to go train people right away. People weren't paying me to sit there and learn how to do a perfect solder joint. They weren't paying me to learn how to do the perfect glue joint. They didn't pay me at school to go talk to other kids to get them to come over to, from high schools to come to plumbing. Mm-hmm. They weren't paying me for that. I just did it. I did things that were outside of the normal worker person to feel it out and to test myself and to add another notch to my belt. Public speaking was one of them. Public speaking and talking to a crowd of people of like 1,000 people, 800. I think the highest was 1,000. The lowest, I think it was mostly like 20 to 40 people. And talking to them and keeping their attention and explaining to them when I'm the only person on stage, like a damn TED talk. That's not easy. That's just fucking scary, but it's a skill set you can add. The reason why I'm good at this podcast and can talk the way I do is because I did the public speaking. It kind of leaked into this. Because now I'm not afraid of the camera. I'm not afraid of this shit. You gave somebody on the podcast. We can watch. It'll happen eventually. When we get a special guest on, they're going to freeze up. As soon as you put them on the camera, they're going to be like, so, yeah, life is hard. What am I going to do with my hands? What am I going to do with my hands? So, it's a skill set. And but you're just adding more things. Every time you try something, every time you do something, every time you start changing your way of thinking, every time you look in the boss's perspective or the CEO's perspective, instead of you complaining or bitching about the fact that you didn't get the raise, look at the reasons on why he didn't give you the raise. Would you give you a raise? Right? Like,
correct.
Start thinking.
Would you hire yourself?
Would you hire you? When I was younger,
of course, people say that they say, "Oh, I'll hire myself," because they're thinking of themselves.
Yeah. Stop thinking about you.
When they had a goal, like you're thinking like, oh well, if I was getting paid, I would be like, I would hire myself, but I'm not getting paid, so that's why I don't work.
Yeah, it happens, bro. Every year, I go to 3 to 4 companies. They'll call me. They'll hit me up, or they'll locate me. They'll find me, and they'll offer me a specific amount of money. I could take that specific amount of money, and instead of throwing it on my boss's desk, we can have the conversation on this is what I want. I see, and instead of saying give me my money, I want this money. I have a conversation. Listen, my future is here. I've had a couple options. Now I have those options in my bag if he wants to see them, because it's not bullshit. And these are the options I have, but I don't explain to him exactly that. I just jump into like, I see my future here. I see like me becoming eventually part of the future of this company and doing this with you guys, and we can do it together. Instead of me just going like, I need this much amount of money, that's it, though. So they hit me up or I quit. You can't do it that way. You gotta, again, you're presenting yourself as a business. You wouldn't do that if you were selling something, right? If you were selling a product, like, look, this is what it is, this is the price, that's it. You got to sell it. You got to pull them into it. You got to keep them interested.
The benefits of it.
Yeah. This is what you need. Hey, listen, you need a new filtration system. Right now, the levels, the HP and the chlorine levels in the city.
You want somebody that's going to come into work on time, do what they're supposed to do, not give you any issues.
Any bullshit. Right.
Then I'm your guy for that.
Right. That's when they say no news is good news in this business. That's part of it. I don't want my boss. I want my boss to know I can handle it. But I don't want him to think about it right away. I want him to think about it a year after I've already handled all the business. And he's like, damn, I haven't heard from him in a while. Louis, does he still work here? Yeah, but like, actually, if you look at his numbers, he fucking murdered it. And you're like, oh, damn, this motherfucker's good, bro. Lou, come in here, boy. I'm going to give you He'll just offer me the raise. It's what it is, bro. And plus, you're coming up. I approach this with that good guy mentality, too. I don't try to bully or try to bitch my way through shit. The squeaky wheel doesn't always get the grease. I didn't want to get there and get to my position or get in my career with the squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of guy. I didn't want to do that. That's too fast. That's too quick. You may get there too quick and not be ready. I wanted to get there by earning it. Earning every fucking step of the way. And the only way to do that was to gain experience, was to
think like a CEO. Think like the boss.
That's it.
Think like the boss.
And the experience isn't just in the thing you're working on, the skill that the craft.
But I always tell, like, even like, especially in the trade business, I would say for sure, it's not really your knowledge, right? You need to know what you're doing, of course.
For sure.
That's like obvious with anything.
But you can always learn.
You can learn as long as you go. You're gonna still be learning even when you're older. Like a lot of older tradesmen, they stop learning and they stick to this, and the whole system has changed. Yeah. So it's hard for them to transition towards that because they weren't learning as they were going. They were doing this, and then it changed to this, right? It changed to different piping and the way you lay it out and the code.
They're making themselves obsolete,
right? So you can't do that.
Made themselves.
What I'm saying is, like, for the most part, especially in service, let me say more than construction, it's more of learning like skills, human skills, life skills,
people skills.
And even like working in the company, like being along with everybody in the company, right? Being a people person, right? Saying hi to the receptionist, right, when you walk in, saying hi to the guy at the shop, right? Being that guy makes everything more fluid, more easily.
So it's easy.
And then when there's time for bad times, you're not the first one to go because you don't have an issue. Right? If you're the guy who has an issue with this guy, an issue with this person, an issue with this, the way this is done, an issue not having this, when it's time to go, right, and we're ready to cut somebody, and we're like, damn, bro, like, this guy don't give me no problem, this guy, oh, this guy right here is annoying. You're the first to go.
Yeah.
And that's usually how it happens. So, that's all part of it, too.
Another thing is I wanted to bring up, too, which is a really good point, especially through, I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is real important. I want to say it before I forget it. I also learned something about not sticking with the company just because, like, the hard times you were just saying. Sticking with the company through the hard times also shows them something. Like, let's say they do pay cuts. Let's say something happened and they're like, look, we got to do pay cuts right now. We got a lot of shit going on, whatever. Half the staff is going to quit. They're going to leave. When you stay with that person and you're working with that person, there's something that you're showing them, right? Like, I didn't get it. I didn't chase the money here. I knew the money was there. The end goal, obviously, is to get there. But I didn't do this for the money. I had to get good at the craft. I had to understand. I had to work right next to George. I had to work right next to Lenny. I had to work right next to these people to understand. I had to work right next to you to see how people move. Not just thinking about the craft end of it, but the CEO end of it. But when you stick around when it's not the best of times, sometimes that is the thing that moves you forward. because you stuck around, bro. You can't just be with this boss, with this company, this owner who busts his ass to build this company and he's fell on hard times and then everybody fucking dips. Like, you need to get paid for what you do, and you have a family to take care of.
Yeah, that's
understandable.
That's a little more.
But if you
depends on if you have a family.
If you are there through the thick and the thin, sometimes loyalty is good, and then sometimes loyalty is bad.
Well,
sometimes you're loyal to the wrong boss.
In that aspect, I think you have to do what's best for your family, and a good boss will understand that what you're doing best for your family, right? So, a good boss will understand. Like, listen, like, if I'm gonna cut your pay in half, and your half of your bills is to pay your bills, then you gotta look for another opportunity.
I gotta go.
And I'll come back when everything gets back on board. But that's a point of.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's why owning a business
is hard.
Is hard, because when that happens, and you can't make the bills right, and your people leave, you have to be understanding of why they got to pay their bills, right?
Yep.
And then you have to figure out how to get your business back into the full swing. So, but that's part of owning a business. Part of being an employee, and that's what I tell people all the difference all the time too, is part of being an employee is you just go to another job. Yeah. The business owner can't leave. He can't just like,
I'm out. I gotta go. No,
he's got to. He's got to either recreate the business to get it back going. Or he loses everything he put into the business. You just jump out with your pay and you walk away and you're I'm going to the next pay.
It happened to us, and what I had, like, part of my thing was, instead of running, stepping up and going, like, here's some ideas. Here's some ideas I think that will work and get us back on track. I think this is too much money. This is too much here. You're not looking at the price there. You're looking at these three guys here aren't really like pulling their weight. They're stealing time. This guy here's doing this. The customer is expecting this. This is what our competition's doing.
Yeah, if they want to listen,
I'm adding ideas to some shit.
If they give you the opportunity to listen, it depends on how.
Well, they're out of ideas.
Well, it depends on how big your business is.
Yeah, true.
You're talking about like a 100-person business, like. They don't even know who you are half the time.
Like, so who's this guy?
You're giving
but that's sometimes you can get your name off of that. Yeah, who's this guy? I'll show you who I am. Bitch.
You could possibly do that if they listen to you. If they want to listen and they want to take your advice, then
they're out of options.
More power, right? More power.
Dude, when COVID hit and everybody's trying to figure out what the fuck to do. Everybody's trying to figure out what to do.
But like, for the most part, it's still their risk. It's not your risk. You're not risking anything.
Yeah, it's at
if all that shit doesn't work, you can still go to the next plumbing company next door and be like, listen,
hey bro,
I'm here. I'm charging this. Can I get what you got? And they're like, all right. And then the guy who owns the business is still picking up the pieces and selling material.
I had an issue with loyalty my whole life, right? Like,
well, I'm a loyal person.
I'm a loyal person too.
I'm a loyal person.
But I had that's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes.
But loyalty, like, is to a point. Like, for me, working in a business, and not where I work now, but in a normal business, I don't really have loyalty to you. You know what I mean? Like, off rip. Like, I just can't have loyalty.
You gotta earn that.
Yeah, it's something that I earn, and through my business now, there's a lot of that's been giving. Yeah. That
they
earned my loyalty to this, and the caring and the way they structure everything and the way everything.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that earned it. But as far as like, a corporation, like my wife works for a corporation, the loyalty is not there. Maybe to a certain people in the business, but not the corporation itself. Yeah, it's like certain people that did things for you, but in a corporation it's kind of different because at the end of the day, if they do 1,000 cuts, they don't care about names. Right, they do 8,000 people get laid off. They don't care about. Oh, well, no, that's Jim. Well, I remember Jim. Jim was amazing, man. We can't fire him. Bobby, we gotta fire somebody. He's like, well, Bobby can't go. Right? He's not gonna be like picking names out of the hat and be like, these are the best guys, man. I remember this guy. He was amazing. It's the CEO. He's gonna cut 8,000 people. They give me the top 8,000 people that make the least amount of money. Give me a couple of them that make the most,
and that's it.
And let's keep moving. Right? So when you say loyalty, we're talking more of small, intimate businesses where the boss, the owners, people, and you can fight through small, hard times with them and stuff. Like even when 2008 happened, we never really felt it, but we had, cutbacks on certain things. And
it happens. Dude, even like the products we were buying.
Yeah, so at that time, but that's what we're talking about. Like Amazon, you work with Amazon, Jeff Bezos not looking at your name when he goes to cut.
Like, you are the one.
He's like, damn, you're going to cut Martin?
But if we're talking about a smaller business.
Then it's more loyalty. Then loyalty can be in place. Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. It's going to cut you. It's going to shut the store down. Like all these Walmarts that are shutting down in like Portland and in Oregon or whatever. They don't care that Nancy Williamson works there.
Yeah, they're like, dude, Nancy.
Like, Nancy's there? Oh no, we can't shut that one down.
You know what though? But if you watch, what is that one? Undercover Bosses. If you watch that, you think
you think they really care?
They care.
They only care when they've been there.
Well, they also care.
The Hooters
really,
CEO,
really care.
the Hooters CEO is not like thinking about all 1,000 Hooters that he has.
Yeah.
Oh man, Nancy.
You gotta be realistic.
Nancy was a single mom, like you know.
You just gotta place yourself in the shoes of the CEO. Once you start thinking that way instead of thinking about, like, you gotta get good at your craft no matter what.
You gotta understand business.
Yeah.
Like, business is about money, like profit. Like if you were owning your own business, you gotta think about owning your own. That's why I said
owning your own business.
About thinking about a CEO, right?
You're thinking about it as you own your own business.
You're thinking about, I need at the end of the day, I need profit. I need to make a certain amount of money.
Right.
I need to bring home a certain amount of money, profit on top of what I've already paid out. Right. That's the whole model of a business.
Right.
And if you think like the owner that's thinking like, damn, I need to make more money. Right. If you think like him, then you'll see what you need to cut back on and what you need to do.
Yeah.
And it can help you to understand the business a little more, and then you'll know where what's important. Mm-hmm. Like, are you an important part of it? Like,
where are you at in that hierarchy?
In that cog of that makes the money shoot out the end of it. Mm-hmm. This little cog, and the money shoots out of it.
Which wheel are you?
If your wheel is over here spinning and it doesn't have anything to do with the money flowing through it, then you are probably the first one to go.
Now look, I was gonna say this too before we end it. Like, there's moments and there's times that I feel like that little mouse running on the wheel that's spinning, and they just can't stop freaking spinning, and they can't stop running. And if they stop running,
their legs go over the head.
My responsibilities to my wife and my kid, everything that relies on me is going to be affected if I stop running.
We gotta keep running though.
You gotta keep running, bro. And
even Lil Baby said a good thing, bro. He said when he was on Angie Martinez, he said. He was saying like I'm gonna retire. No, he was saying I can never retire. That's what he told her. And she's like, you can retire. You know, he made like 15 million last year. Probably makes that every year or whatever. And he's like, no, you can retire. He's like, do you know any billionaires or millionaires that stop working?
No.
Like, no. Oh, well, then I'm gonna work forever. He knows that, right? And that mindset is the mindset you need to have. You don't work forever, right? Whether you get to a point where you can retire or something like that, and you have money that you saved up and invested. But really, you're gonna work forever. Even then, like, you're gonna get older, and you don't want to sit in your house and just, watch TV. People gonna work.
Think and grow rich, bro.
They can grow rich, baby. Napoleon Hill.
You have no choice. You have to start thinking outside that small box of I put hand to pipe. I flip burgers. Mm-hmm. I'm the in between the boss getting information. I'm the logistics. You got to stop thinking just that. What else? What else is there? And put yourself in those positions, and if you don't put yourself in other people's shoes sometimes, and like we said, shoe on the other foot, if you don't play that game with business, you're never going to get to the top. Never. You'll always be stuck in that bottom. And let's say you wanted to open your own shit, at least now you just gained experience to open
like
your
Brian
own
J
shit.
said, the top 20, like this is the 80-20 rule, but the top 20% of people, make majority of the money for the 80%, for more majority of the company, right? So you got to work your way into being the top 20%, whether that's being in, a hairstylist or being a damn, tradesman, right? You want to be in the top 20%. So when hard times come, those top 20% never lose their job.
They don't lose.
They don't lose pay. They don't lose their job because they're in the echelon of that business.
And this is not like something we're just making up. This is something that's currently happening. This is currently we're doing right now.
But the Pareto principle is
a fact.
It's a fact. Yeah.
But it's something that me and Mo have been practicing for a very long time. So this shit works.
Be the best.
We're not just talking shit.
Be the best of the best of the best of the best of the best.
Hey, I always wanted to say this to you guys. You're welcome.
Now subscribe.
Hey guys,
hit the notification
bell.
You're welcome.
Go make some money now.
Come on. Peace.
Go become the best.